Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Soldancer Plays Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm actually re-recording this episode. The first time I was trying to record, I wound up getting something akin to crazy robot voice. So this hopefully will get the same kind of commentary I had going on the first time in case any of y'all have actually seen the first episode. If not, sit back, relax, and I think you're in for a treat. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm doing more of a walkthrough style playthrough. I've played this game 12 to 15 times before, so I'm pretty familiar with it. I kind of know what I'm doing. It's still going to be pretty relaxed. I'm not attempting a speed run or anything, so hopefully you'll learn a little bit of something even if you've played this game before. So I'll be putting out some cool tips and tricks and little neat things that you can see about the castle. But enough about that, let's go ahead and start up the game. This was originally made for the PlayStation 1, back when it was just called the PlayStation, and as you can see by the copyright down at the bottom, 1997. It's really the first game to be in the kind of Metroidvania sort of style. This is really what kind of kicked off that term. I really, the term can be useful, but I kind of like to call it a side-scrolling action exploration RPG, which I know is a mouthful, but I think that kind of tells you a little bit more about what the game actually is. So I can't put in my whole handle Soldancer, so we're just going to go with Sol B, so I don't confuse it with my other saves. Solb! Alright, let's go ahead and start this up. Journey back to 1792 and the Transylvanian countryside of Romania. I don't think that's Romanian on the map there. I could be wrong, but it doesn't even look like it's in the Latin alphabet. But hey, what do I know? And we start off with a pretty neat cutscene here. Some classic 1997 water special effects there. It still doesn't look too half bad. One funny thing about older games like this is a lot of times the cutscenes actually hold up much worse than the in-game. Yeah, like this, it just looks like somebody forgot to put a texture on half the castle there. You get this kind of cool flyover of Castlevania. Very sinister looking. I'm not really sure what sort of feat of engineering was required to get that little capsule to kind of stand off. The camera's going to pan over it here in a second. Yeah, this giant support spire for this little tiny thing off to the side. I always kind of think of it like Vader's meditation capsule from Empire Strikes Back. Place where Vader can kind of just go and chill. Alright, you can have fun spinning the logo with the D-pad during the loading screens. Alright, final stage, Bloodlines. So, wait, what is this? Yeah, I was really confused when I first played this game back in 97, because this is actually the final area of Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which was actually, at the time, had not been released in the US. So, it picks up right where Rondo of Blood left off at this prologue scene. So, you're actually playing as Richter Belmont, of the Belmont clan, same as Simon from Castlevanias 1 and 2, Trevor Belmont from Castlevania 3, and there's a couple more of them in the series. I think there's some in the later handhelds, but at this point, those are the ones that I was most familiar with. So we have the cross sub-item right here inside that candle. There's also a fun little switch here that opens this cool hidden area. Oddly enough, I can jump through it while it's moving, but I can't once it's stopped, so. And this area is actually not really very useful for Richter, but it kind of, if you happen to find it, it's got some kind of cool little things here. There's actually some pretty powerful weapons and items that you can't use as Richter. If you notice the upper left corner there when I hit pause, yeah, there's no subscreen for Richter. It just says pause, push start. So we can't actually equip any of those things we just found. Really all Richter gets is sub-weapon, hearts, and his whip. Oop. So he's got a couple of cool moves. You can do down, if you press down and jump, you get this neat little slide kick. Whip those for hearts, and then you saw me do a second ago, if you hit down, up, jump, you actually get this cool little jump move. What's fun about it is that you can actually do it indefinitely, so if you do it again while you're in the air, you can just kind of fly. So, it's not very useful for this opening area, but, you know, it's kind of neat to see that it's there. Pick up a couple more hearts. I don't really need them for this fight. I'm actually hopefully be able to do this fight without taking a hit and with just using the whip, but we'll kind of see how it goes. Classic opening cutscene.
Die, monster. You don't belong in this world. It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Humans.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Ooh, Dracula's going deep.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets.
Hell yeah.
But enough talk. How about you?
Have it you right back. Okay, so Dracula's got a pretty easy pattern here. I think I quite get him. Yeah, oh, I got a hit in. So what he'll do is, oh, you might see I picked up holy water there also, which can be pretty useful. Oh, I missed with it. I forgot it actually works differently for Richter than it does later when we play as Alucard. Yeah, spoiler alert, Alucard's the main character for the rest of the story. So what you want to do is stand up in his face and swing your whip around, and after he does that 3 times, here's true power. He shoots those 2 balls at you. You can't whip those, so you just have to duck the first one and jump the second one. So if you get right inside his little teleportation, you can hold down the attack button and just sort of mash up forward on the controller, and Richter will spin his whip around. And that will not only destroy the fireballs, but usually get you a hit or 2 in on him while he's doing that. Was that 3? I wasn't counting. Nope. Okay. Oh, I took a hit. Woe is me. So on the modern versions of this system, I'm actually playing the PS1 version, but the modern versions on PS3, Xbox 360, and PS4, I don't know if there's an Xbox One version of it or not, but it also has an achievement for beating this opening Dracula fight without taking a hit. There's also something kind of cool that happens if you take full damage. So I'm going to actually try and show off, since I've already taken a hit, I'll probably just show that. I was thinking about going and making a bonus video, but you kind of see the strategy here. It's not too terribly complicated. Just get up in his face, smack him a few times, do that for 3 cycles, and then stand back and dodge Here's True Power. Okay, I should be able to get him before he does Here's True Power again. As long as I can get up in his face properly. Oh, one more hit should do it. There we go. So this is kind of a fun trick. If you just crouch here underneath his legs as he's transforming, it makes it extremely difficult for him to hit you. He usually will just spit that fireball, yeah, and then he jumps, and you can just move with his legs. He does have a move where he'll attack throwing these sort of green projectiles straight down. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of my health damage so I'm not losing out on anything really by getting hit. Just so you can see the cutscene that happens. It's kind of significant. So she summons these 4 traditional Japanese elemental spirits. Genbu, Byakko, Suzaku, and I forget what the 4th one is.
No, it cannot be.
But that's Maria. Take a Polaroid of my victory, and then set it on fire. Yeah, like you do. It was Richter Belmont, the legendary vampire hunter, who succeeded in finally ending the menace of Count Dracula, Lord of the Vampires, who had been brought back from the grave by the Dark Priest Shaft? Okay. However, one night 4 years later, under the glare of a full moon, Richter mysteriously vanished. With no idea of where to begin her search, Maria Renard set out to look for him. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the Castle of Dracula, which is rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from out of the mist, as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces were struggling for the soul of a man named Alucard, the very same Alucard who had teamed up with Trevor Belmont to battle his immortal father, Count Vlad Tepes Dracula. Alucard, in order to purge the world of his own cursed bloodline, had submerged his vampiric powers and entered into what was supposed to be an eternal slumber. But now he is awake and aware of the evil once again at work in his homeland. The time has come once again for the forces of good and evil to engage in their ancient battle. Dracula's castle beckons for you, and no man can say who shall emerge victorious. Well, no, that's not quite right, because it'll be me. Yeah, I will emerge victorious. And Alucard. It would be kind of silly if I just got 20 minutes into the game, got killed, and then, you know, oh, well, we're done. That was the Let's Play. Anyway. Pretty sweet opening introduction crawl. This is a pretty big deal for a Castlevania game, too, because up to this point, really the ones that have been released in the States, aside from Simon's Quest, were all very classic arcade-style, side-scrolling action platformers, whereas this one has vastly more exploration and RPG elements to it. So having an intro is actually of this length is pretty sweet for a Castlevania game. Alucard running swiftly through the forest, just barely making it inside of the gate and the door. I really wish that Alucard could ever move that quickly for the entire rest of the game, but alas, he cannot. So we start off outside the castle. You notice there's not even music playing at this point, but I'll just take a second to kind of go over what we start off with here. So here's our subscreen. We've got equip, relics, systems, just, you know, for options, and there's a few hidden things here that we'll unlock later. But to start off with, Alucard's actually got some pretty good gear here. We've got the Alucard sword, shield, and mail. Mail resists fire, lightning, and ice. The shield is strong versus all attacks. I think that just means that it's got good defense against various elements, kind of like the armor does. Mother's family heirloom, so his mother gave him this sword. Dragon helm, which increases your constitution and strength, which is pretty powerful. Twilight cloak gives you big strength and big constitution bonus from that. Necklace of J, I'm not really sure who J is, but +5 defense, that's fine. And another empty inventory slot here. And we also, if you go up to our hand slots here, you've actually also picked up a potion and a neutron bomb. You start with a couple of different items depending on what you did during the intro sequence. I don't remember exactly what the criteria are for determining what you wind up with, but the neutron bomb is like a smart bomb. It blows up everything on the screen for significant damage. It doesn't auto-kill, but it does a lot. And potion is a standard healing item. So, that's weird. Don't you usually get stuff from candles? Yeah, not to start out with. Not to start out with. These guys are pushovers because I have such a powerful sword at the start of the game. Just look at some of the detail in the backgrounds too. It's really cool. You've got this parallax scrolling, which was, you know, kind of a big deal on the Super NES. It still looks great on the PS1 here. I picked up a cloth tunic. I'm actually going to go ahead and equip that. Oh, no, I have the Alucard mail. What am I doing? But you get these cool, this sort of window/French doors here slamming in the background. Your classic opening, infinitely respawning Castlevania zombies. Oops. I didn't see him in the warg's explosion there. We come through this area. We got some bats. Ouch. Take that. And another classic, mysterious wall pot roast. Never quite sure who puts this food in the wall and why it's still good to eat, you know, possibly centuries later, but whatever. Alright, continue on this way. Still getting nothing from candles. That's actually because there's a relic that we need in order to make that happen. So one thing that's kind of cool about some of the weapons in this game, including Alucard's sword, is that a lot of them give you dedicated special moves depending on what you do on the controller, like back to forward, quarter circle, so sort of like a Hadouken in Street Fighter. So you can do this teleport move. Now, you see the blue bar above my hearts in the upper left there? That's my magic meter. You get a little flash and a sound when it reaches back to full. So it does recharge on its own over time, which is nice. But it does cost magic to do some special moves, not all of them, but Alucard's sword costs, I think, 5 or 10 MP every time you do the little teleport. More mysterious wall turkey. And a cutscene.
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
Still befriending mortals. I'll not ask you to return to our side, but I demand you cease your attack.
I will not.
You shall regret those words. We will meet again.
What? I'll tell you what, unfortunately, the what is, he took all our stuff. He just took every single item that we had equipped. So, we no longer have access to those pretty powerful weapons. This is kind of cool that they give you a little bit of taste of power right at the start of the game, and then, nope, you gotta start over. We have some corpses impaled on spikes. Classic historical Dracula shout-out to Vlad the Impaler, who was the basis for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Right, so right now, actually, all we can do is punch. And if you're in the air, you can punch down. You can actually, if you hit down and to the right or left, when you're in the air, if you have a fist weapon equipped or just no weapon, you can do a cool little flying kick there. So here's an interesting little secret. You'd normally just think, oh, I just jump over here. But actually, if you get your jump just right, you can jump from here and then just hold left, and you'll just barely land on this platform. I used to think you could only get here much later in the game, but you can actually get here pretty early. And that's a heart max up. They're scattered throughout the castle. They increase the total number of hearts you have by 5. Or I'm sorry, the total number of hearts you can carry. And hearts are, like in most Castlevania games, they're not health, interestingly enough, but they're ammo for your weapons. And I remember being confused about that when I was a kid. It's like, wait, health is hearts. Why am I not getting health back when I played Castlevania 1? Alright, our first enemy, and we have to punch him. The triangle or Y button is a backdash, which is pretty handy, especially early when you don't have a lot of defense and you need to get out of the way of things. So he dropped a short sword, our first weapon pickup. That skeleton only appears at the beginning of the game here, and he'll always give you a short sword for a drop. So let's go ahead and check that out. You can put the sword in either hand. The two hand icons, actually. The top one is the square or X button, and the bottom one is the B or circle button. So you can actually, if you feel like pressing circle to attack, you can actually put the short sword in your other hand. Any weapons that are equipable can go in either hand, so like this is a hand weapon, but I don't want to use that right now. So let's check out the short sword. Okay, it's got a little bit better range than the fists, does a couple more damage. You can see here it's, yeah, if I remove it, it drops our attack to 8, so it's kind of nice. It's kind of slow, but for a starting weapon, it's not half bad. Let's come down here, and, well, can't get through there. We'll be coming back there in a little while. And if we come up this way, here's another skeleton that only appears at the very beginning of the game right here. Use that same strategy, just kind of hit and run. There we go, 3 hits down, and we get the Red Rust. The Red Rust is actually a two-handed weapon. And see there, when you equip it, it takes up both of your hand slots. It's a fair bit slower. I actually show it off a little later, and there's a couple of boss fights where this actually comes in handy, because if you hit certain enemies with it, it causes the poison status, which halves the amount of damage that you do. So while you're poisoned or while an enemy's poisoned, it does half damage. I get confused about that in a later video. I think it's the next video I wind up actually getting poisoned, and I completely forget what it does. But yeah, so now you know in advance. But we're going to stick with the short sword for now, because actually every now and then when you swing the Red Rust, and you can see it doesn't even do as much damage. It's a two-handed weapon, but because it's rusty, I guess it just sucks. Doesn't even do as much damage as our single-hand short sword. But it also has the downside of occasionally when you go to swing it, it stuns you, which is no good. So, alright, this is our first save point. I think that's a dodecahedron there. We're pretty close to it. And it's a cool little 3D effect here. You just press up while you're in front of it, and it saves your game. Alright, and I believe this is where I ended off on the first run of this, so I'm going to go ahead and call this Episode 1, a redo of Soldancer Plays Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at Episode 2. Have a good one!